Hey everybody, happy Wednesday evening. Happy February the 1st, 2023. Guess what, guys? It's time for your Mind for a Minute with Dr. E. And I know what you're wondering. I know what you're wondering. You're wondering, Dr. E, what do you want us to be mindful for today? Well, first of all, I want you to just take a deep breath. And in that moment, think of all of the things that you're grateful for on this wonderful Wednesday. And although we want to, stay grounded in the present, we can look forward to all of the things we're going to be grateful for on Thankful, Thoughtful Thursday tomorrow. But what I want you to be mindful for today is your story. In tomorrow's Choose Joy email, the quote, the inspirational quote for the day is about sharing our story, because our story often becomes someone else's survival guide to get through something that they're going through. And what I thought about as I prepared the email is my dad. My dad was a masterful storyteller, and I am so thankful that I inherited that storytelling talent that he has. And I was thinking about something that someone shared on Facebook about our youth and how our youth are going down the wrong path and they're headed for, sure destruction. And I offered this. I said to the older men, he was talking to the younger men. I said to the older men, hey, why don't you go out and mentor these young men and teach them? Whenever someone talks about the younger generation and how they're going astray, I always say, well, we have to hold ourselves accountable, because our children only rise up to the level of expectation that we have for them. And too many of our children don't have someone to look up to. Now, to bring you back to my dad always used stories to teach myself and my two brothers about life and decisions and things that we got into and things that we wanted to do, and to describe to us the pitfalls of certain decisions that we would make. He taught us that way. He taught our children that way. He was a fantastic father, a fantastic grandfather, and he taught any child that came in his presence. Whether it was our friends who came over to the house, and then of course when our children were born and their friends came over to the house, everybody knew my dad, because he had this wonderful way of telling you these really great nuggets of wisdom couched in a really funny story. And he was telling his story. He was just sharing, when he was young and when he was in high school, and when he was a young man, or when he was a boy, and the things that he got into. And so it always came across as he wasn't talking at you. He was always talking with you, and you felt like you were in on what he was talking about. And he passed so much wisdom on to us by sharing his story. So that's what I want you to be mindful of today. How are you sharing your story with others? Whether it's something that you're going through now, or whether it's something that you went through, maybe it's something that you have overcome, or whatever. Maybe it's just some celebration of something. I was talking to my friend Sophia yesterday, and I shared something about, where I was emotionally. And when she shared back to me, she celebrated what I shared with her. And I'll be, transparent with you right now. I told her, I said, I have come to grips with, I have found acceptance in being a broken little girl and a Wonder Woman at the same time. And she thought that was just so poetic. And it made me take a moment, to sit back and kind of look at my own words and realize how far I've come. And what I said to her was, regardless of what I'm going through and how I feel about what I'm going through, the reality is that I know that I am a stronger person today than I was a year ago on this same day. And that level of awareness is something to celebrate. And so me sharing my story with her gave her hope about something she's going through right now. The way my dad taught my brothers and myself, the way my dad taught my son and my nephews, and any child or any young person that came in his way, that just sharing a story, it's so impactful. It's so powerful. So I just want to tell you today to share your story. You have the right words. You have the right vocabulary. You have the inner strength to tell your story. Nobody can tell your story like you tell it. I used to tell my students that when I was a seventh grade writing teacher. No one can tell your story like you tell it. And I promise you guys, someone needs to hear it. Somebody right now is going through something and they think they're the only ones going through it, and they think something's wrong with them, that they're going through it. And when you tell your story, you are going to release them from the prison of their own mind. And you might give them just a little bit of wisdom that they need to get over the hump. So don't be afraid to tell your story. That's what I want you to be mindful for today. I want you to have a rest of your wonderful Wednesday. Be as wonderful as you want it to be. I want you to get a good night's sleep, and then I want you to wake up refreshed and renewed and ready for a beautiful, thankful, thoughtful Thursday. Thank you so much for tuning into the Mindful Minute. And I want to remind you that if you want to have the most joyful day that you've had ever, ever, ever in your whole life, you know how to do it by being kind to yourself, by being kind to others, and by gifting the world the beauty and warmth of your smile. Take care, everyone.